Hello, welcome to Web of Stories. My name is Melinda. I am here with my weekly catch-up. This is a special day. The ALEXA has something to say. Anyway, if you follow my channel, you know that last Friday when I did my weekly update, it was my anniversary, which means this Friday is my birthday. I am the big 5-0. I am not worried about it. I am not someone who begrudges growing older. You know, I prefer it to the alternative. I did feel that one of my favorite mugs, which I have my coffee in right now, is especially appropriate now. You've seen this one before. I use this one a lot. But anyway, yes, it is my birthday. And the plans for the day. Supposedly. My husband said he's going to cook dinner. He's not gone to the grocery store or gotten anything for it, so we might be eating out. I don't know. Either way is fine with me. It's just fine. I just don't want to cook, and I don't want to do dishes, and I don't want to nag anybody to do dishes. So there's that. And then for, I think, Mother's Day, my husband had gotten me like one of those murder in a box things. And it's an Agatha Christie themed one. It's like the Murder at the Hunter's Lodge or something. And so my daughter's been wanting to do it. I don't think my son cares, but my daughter's been wanting to do it. And I said, well, we're going to save it because it's one of those things you do it and then you've done it kind of thing. So I think we're going to do that tonight. We're going to solve a murder. Fun. Yeah. But other than that, it's my birthday. But I'm not going to talk too much about that. Before I get into the books, let's talk other bookish things. So yesterday was the Booker Prize shortlist, and I have come to the conclusion that I don't like the Booker Prize. I've only read one of the books that made the shortlist, and I didn't like it. And then looking at the other titles, a lot of people didn't like a lot of those books. People whose opinions tend to match mine and who gave reasons that would be reasons why I wouldn't like the book. I mean, every book is different. You can't guarantee that, but I don't know. I think I think that I'm just not going to be a Booker girly. I will stick with the National Book Award because that's closer to what I like to read. So there you go. Well, y'all, by the way, I'm not reading the National Book Award long list because I don't have time. But I am actually excited about some of the books on it. So all y'all Booker people can go do your Booker thing. I'll be over here doing my National Book Award thing. What else? So a while ago, so I was talking about doing my Shakespeare thing. When was I thinking about doing that? I talked about it in a recent video, and then I asked for titles, and people gave me titles, and then someone said, you know, you should have Discord. Actually, this was Angelia. I'm going to give her credit because I did take her idea. And I was like, oh, okay, I could do a Discord. I use Discord, as you can usually hear because it's beeping when I'm doing videos. But I do have I did not have a Discord. You see where I'm going with this. But I have used Discord, but I have never tried to do my own server. My original thought was to do a Voxer group. So I threw it up on my community tab and asked for opinions. And when I made the decision, it was half and half. It's now leaning towards Discord. Doesn't matter because my decision is really to do both. So this is not going to start until next year. But for those of you who want to follow along on my Shakespeare project or drop in and drop out, however much you want to do, I will do. I have used Voxer. I like Voxer, but I realized I tend to like Voxer for smaller groups. There's a Voxer group for a book I'm reading now. It's great discussions, great people in it, all that, but it's like too big for me to follow, if that makes sense. So I am going to have a Voxer group for this, but I did set up a Discord server, not specifically for the Shakespeare thing, and also the Les Mis 2024 thing, which other people have said they wanted to do with me. Those are in there, but it is it's my Discord server. The link is down in the box below, down there. Find it, join me, because right now it's just me there. It's kind of boring. But yeah, it's a Discord server. There will be they're there now. I created little threads for them, but I used Angelia's title because I did go Discord, and that's the Bard Room. And then also Les Mis 2024. And, but there's also all the other stuff you find on a Discord server, and I would love to chat with y'all. So join my Discord server below, and maybe we'll do things, I don't know. I'm not someone who's ever going to do a Patreon. I'm never going to I'm never going to have like that second tier. I don't want to say charge people because it sounds very mercenary, and that's not what I mean. I respect people who do Patreons. I subscribe to some Patreons. So this is not a shade on Patreon, but I'm not going to be a person who has that kind of like 2-tiered viewing thing. You're always going to be able to see whatever I do. So, yeah. So please join my Discord so I'm not there all by myself. The link is down below. There we go. So I think that's my week. So let's get into the reading. I finished 4 books this week, which is good because I had not been finishing many books so far. Part of that is I've overcommitted, and I'm going to kind of describe a little bit how I'm getting out of that. But let me go through the books that I finished. So the first book I finished was Clytemnestra by Costanza Casati. This was my first, I have actually filmed a video review of this, but I've not posted it yet. Not sure if I'm going to, but I enjoyed this one. This was my first entrance to Greek mythology. As I said, or said in a video you've not yet seen, it's very ironic because I actually own, across several different formats, a number of Greek mythology retellings, but it took me a library book to read it. So maybe that's saying I shouldn't buy the books. I don't know. My friends was like, you buy a book, it guarantees you won't read it, which is sad, but somewhat true. But anyway, I really enjoyed Clytemnestra. It is not, I mean, it does fall into the Greek myth retelling sort of realm. It's a lot about the Trojan War. Odysseus shows up, all that. But there's no gods and goddesses. So this is actually much more like historical fiction in that way. Now they talk about, like, yes, they worship the gods and they talk about that part of their life, but there's no supernatural element. And I am sorry, but I thought I had timed this after the garbage went by, but now it's coming back the other way. So if you hear booms, that's what that is. But anyway, I really liked Clytemnestra. I gave it an A+. I am definitely going to read more Greek myth retellings, but I'm going to read the ones I have before I get more from the library because I have a few. Yeah. So the next book I finished, which is kind of a cheat a little bit, but it is The Witness for the Prosecution and Other Stories by Agatha Christie. If you've been following my Short Story September project, you know I've been reading out of this. However, I only read the stories out of here that I had not previously read, so it's not like I read this entire book. I think I read 4 stories out of this book because the other stories I had already read. So I'm counting it as being done, but you know, it's I didn't read that many pages, to be honest. And then if you watch my video, you know, yesterday Thursday, yesterday for today, not yesterday when you'll see this, I could not contain my excitement because I had another 5-star book. It happens so rarely that I feel like I have to make a big deal about it. So this is only the 4th 5-star book I've given out this year. And the first 2 5-star books, and I totally stand by the 5-starness of them, but they were very personal to me. So it's not like I would gladly recommend those books. They were The Beadworkers and Mink River. The Beadworkers by Beth Pietote and Mink River by Brian Doyle. I would definitely recommend those books, but I would never expect them to be a 5-star book for anyone else. So the last 5-star book I had was The Postcard by Ann Patchett. I will link down below or up above, however it works out. You can go see my review of that. But that was a very kind of general this is a 5-star book. You know, despite this, you know, I think other people would find that a 5-star book as well. So I have my second one. And if you've seen the video, because it's already up, you know what it is. It's The River We Remember by William Kent Krueger. Now, as I said, I did just do the video yesterday, so I'm going to try to not, the garbage truck is backing up. Okay, it stopped. Sorry. I'm going to try to not repeat what I said in that video, but I do want to say 2 things. One is specific to this book and one is to the author. First thing I forgot to mention in this book is it does go to some dark places. So if you're interested in reading this and you have any kind of sensitivities, I would say go to Storygraph and check the content warnings. I didn't have a problem with it, but I can see how other people would because it does go some dark places. 2, and this is about William Kent Krueger. I think this man needs more respect. He is sort of labeled as a genre writer, and you know, he does. He has a very long series, mystery thriller series, which is the Cork O'Connor series, which is excellent. I recommend it. It does need to be read in order, so start with Iron Lake, or there is a prequel called Lightning Strike that you could read at any point in the series. So you could start with Lightning Strike, or you could start with Iron Lake and just read Lightning Strike at some other point. Highly recommend it. So yes, he is a genre author, but he's also a literary author, and I feel like people forget that he has these literary novels out, and they're so good. I've given every one of them a 5-star, as I said in that video. This is just the most 5-starry of them. So if you've never read William Kent Krueger, I highly recommend it. But if you are someone who likes mystery, I would say, you know, feel free to start with Cork O'Connor. That's an interesting series because it starts out good, but it just keeps getting better. At some point you can tell, and it's about the time when he starts writing his standalones, the writing, those even become more literary. And so yeah, they're great. It's a great series. But if you're a literary person, pick up one of his standalones. The first one is Ordinary Grace, followed by This Tender Land, and then The River We Remember, which is my favorite. Oh, I love this book. And then, last night I finished The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue. So this was kind of like an interesting, fun little book. I call it a friend com. That's probably the best way to describe it. I mean, it's like a rom-com, except it's about a friendship, not a romantic relationship. Although there is a romantic relationship in it, it is definitely secondary to the main story, which is the friendship between Rachel and her friend James. It's a very Will and Gracie, which I feel bad saying because at one point they say that the characters have a very problematic relationship with Will and Grace, but it is very much. It is a young Irish woman who's just finishing up university, and her best friend, who is this gay man, and so there's the Will and Grace dynamic that way. But really, I don't want to say it's a book about having a gay friend, but it's hard to not say that because something happens in this book involving one of Carolyn's professors, and it involves James, and it involves the fact that things are going on there. So yeah, it is. I mean, if you like Will and Grace, you're going to like this book. I don't care what the author says. It is Will and Gracie. I will say it is a book that's told from like looking back on time, like everything's happened, and the narrator, who is Rachel, looks back on things that happened in the past, which is probably the reason I like this, because I think if it was a book that was relaying events as they were happening, I wouldn't have liked this book. It would have been too young for me. Rachel and James are in their early 20s for the most of this book, and it feels like they're in their early 20s, but because the story is told of Rachel looking back on her time, she's looking back on it with a sensibility of a mid-30s woman, which makes it a more universal feeling. But I really liked it. I gave it an A. It was good. I would recommend it. It's definitely lighter read. It was good that I had it because it was a nice little palate cleanser book. It's not very long, quick read. So what I am currently reading. If you follow me on Goodreads, it's very deceptive because a lot of those are short story collections. It's September. There you go. So let me just talk about my non-short story books. I have 2 print books going. So yesterday I started Death in the Clouds. I wanted something a little bit more basically palate cleansery after The River We Remember. The book I had planned to start after The River We Remember was Happiness Falls by Angie Kim, but that's another literary mystery. And I felt I needed something to break it up. And yes, this is still a mystery, but it's a Poirot mystery. It's one of those, you know what to expect. You expect certain things from it. It's its own little genre. It works well. I still don't think I'm going to read Happiness Falls next because I remembered I had a book for my postal book group, which is not a mystery at all. I believe it's dystopian or science fiction. I don't know. But I'll be reading that after this. And then I am still working on Tightrope by Nicholas Kristof and Sheryl WuDunn. If you saw last week's video, I had quite a rant. I haven't read that much further, so the rant still holds. It still holds. In fact, it's stronger than ever because of this constant refrain that the authors talk about like not being married is sets you up for bad outcomes. I don't agree with that. So that irritates me. And also the fact that the 2 words together, childcare, have yet to be mentioned in this book. They could still be mentioned. So putting that out there. But I am, as you can tell, tabbing a lot. There's some really interesting points they bring up. Nick Kristof was a writer for the New York Times. So when he's writing, and you know when he's writing, it is very clearly presenting information. It is not the presentation of information I have a problem with. It is the omission of certain aspects of the problem they're discussing, and an aspect that I feel they are overly amplifying that are problems for me. But it's still interesting. I thought my book discussion was a week from tomorrow. It's actually 2 weeks from tomorrow. So I have a little more time with this one, which is good. Okay. So I have 2 ebooks going, and this one I have a print copy, so I'll hold it up. Secrets of Hartwood Hall. This is the one that I'm reading kind of with a group, and we have a Voxer group going, which is great. There's great discussions on it. I'm just having a really hard time following because there's so many people on it. I think I'm just going to push ahead and finish this book because I'm feeling a little overwhelmed with what I am reading and not feeling that I have the freedom to read what I want right now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. I am over halfway through with it. And so I'll probably finish it in the next day or two. And then maybe I'll just check in with the Voxer group once we've gotten to the point where everyone should have finished and get in with the final views. But I'm enjoying it. It's very Brontean. It's not as Brontean as The 13th Tale, although I think I remember Katie saying that was another one of her inspirations for this book. I don't know where it's going. That's pretty amazing that I am this far in and I don't know where it's going. So good job, Katie. Yeah, so I'm reading that. The other ebook I have going right now is a NetGalley, and I think I talked about it last week. I can't remember if I'd started it last week or not. And that is The Daughters of Block Island. This is kind of a thriller-ish thing. I'm not sure if it's supernatural or not. I'm to the point where I figure out it's good for reading this time of year because it definitely has a spooky feel to it. I'm not super far into it. I will say I have like in my mind, I have a map of how I think it could end up. And if it ends up that way, I'm going to be disappointed because I think that would be an easy way out for this story. But I'm not to a point now to see if I'm right. So I'm hoping I'm wrong. But yeah. And then on audio, I am still listening to Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, narrated by Meryl Streep, but I am very close to it. So next week when I do my video, it will be done. But I am really enjoying it. It's taking me a little longer because when I do audiobooks, there's different kinds of audiobooks that I do and I handle them a little differently. And lots of times when I do audiobooks, it's either like nonfiction or it's very light fiction or it's an audio reread of something I've already read. So I'm able to kind of do different things and while I'm doing it. It doesn't need 100% of my attention. This is a literary novel I have not read before, so it does kind of need 100% of my attention. Now, it's not hard to give it that attention because it is so well narrated and it's a great story. But it's a timing thing. It's like I have all these other things going on in my life that if it were another kind of book, I could do that. I could listen to it while I'm doing those other things. But because of the kind of book it is, I have to just listen to this book. So it's just kind of a time thing, which is why it's taking me so long. I think the next book I'm going to read is going to be a Lisa Jewell thriller, her newest one. And that's going to be something I can probably put on in the background and not give, I only need to give 90% of my attention instead of 100%. But I am really enjoying Tom Lake. I will join the Tom Lake chorus of saying it's wonderful. So that's my week. Today is my birthday. Please, just in honor of my birthday, please join my Discord server because I'm all there alone right now, all by myself. Also, if you want to give me a birthday gift, and you can like this video, and you can also subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you very much, and I will see you next time. Bye.